Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's music video, a little bit overdue, I know. If you didn't see the previous video, where basically I talk you guys through how I planned and shot a whole music video, quickly stop this video, click that button up there or first link in the description below, that like button. Watch that video first if you want to know how to shoot and plan a music video. In this music video, in this YouTube video, we're gonna be going over how I color corrected, color graded, and how I edited the music video itself. So the music video we're talking about is Desire for You by Broccoli, a Manchester-based artist. So this is the first video we shot. We've since shot another video, which I will show a tiny bit at the end, not of the video, but like of the sequence that I edited, because you're gonna wanna see it. First things first, let's just quickly talk about a few things about the videos. The color palettes that I went with. So we shot half in the studio and half, well, it was more like 2/3 in the studio and then 1/3 out in a forest. We had a lot of color palettes to play with, the whole like greenery and brown of the trees and stuff like that. And then of course we had the whole studio as like a blank canvas to do whatever we wanted with. So the basis of this video was like, there's a guy eating his candy. So there's like blue candy and there's pink, well, red candy. So it's a reference to the whole Matrix, like blue pill, red pill. And like the blue pill is like, enjoy your ignorance and just live a happy life. And the red pill is like, well, I forgot what it was in the Matrix. I think it was like waking up or whatever, but yes, I've seen the Matrix. It was just a long time ago, okay? Leave me alone. But in this music video, it was basically like temptation and like lust and desire, hence Desire for You. And the lovely model Kat, who was the lady for this music video, she's the one who like, you know, she's like the temptress or whatever, I guess to call her, I don't know. And she basically poisons him with this red candy, puts it into his wine glass, he drinks it and then boom, passes out and then wakes up into where the performance actually starts. Now, yes, there's an offline clip here, I couldn't find it, okay? So let's talk through the editing first, because obviously before you do anything else, you need to cut everything up and make sure it's where it's meant to be, more or less. Obviously, people make changes right up to the very end sometimes, but you don't want to be like dragging one clip in and then coloring it to perfection and then dragging another clip in. Like, you got to edit it first. Okay, so if we take a look at the sequence here, we can see there's actually not that much, right? This is pretty small for a sequence, like 14 tracks used, ignoring that clip because it's offline. It's not a lot. I've had, you know, I'll show you guys another project that's like 50 plus tracks. But basically, because for this project, it was very, very detailed what he wanted. He presented to me and he's like, look, I've even got like timestamps for what I want when, in which part of the song. So that was a huge plus to like actually breaking it down, getting the story. I actually made a whole storyboard for this and like just get every single shot perfect. Because then when it came to shooting it, you just do those shots and then you're done. And when it comes to editing, you just put those shots in where they're meant to go in. Now, obviously, you gotta trim it a little bit depending on, like, say maybe the shots weren't fast enough, or say there's too many shots for a certain section. That actually happened in this case. I had to really squeeze in the beginning part before the performance actually kicks in. But managed to make it work in the end, as you do as an editor. So, what you typically do with a music video, just to get this out of the way first, the performance shots are the most important thing. Okay, asterisk, but I'll come to that asterisk. Performance shots are the most important part of the video because it's the performance. You know, you need to nail that. So what I always do is usually I'll get the artist to record the entire song, entire performance at for every single shot at every single location. Yes, unless you know this part of performance at this location only, and then this part of performance at this location only. You can do it like that. I just like to play it safe and have the entire thing, because you never know, the client might be like, you know what? I actually like the beginning part of that performance at that location more than the other location. Can we use that instead? It's better that you have the option. So anyway, you synchronize the clips to the song in Premiere Pro, and just do that with every single performance shot, okay? It's a tedious process, it's long, but it's necessary. Once you've done that, start just cutting away at, you know, start like, get the best performance shots and then, you know, start out with a wide or cut to a medium, cut to a close up. Just start cutting things up and mixing and matching and seeing what works best. And of course, you go through like, location 1 for the first third, location 2 for the middle bit, location 3 for the third like ending bit. Obviously you can have as many or as little locations as you want. The more locations, the more variety of shots that you have, the better your music video is going to look. I've actually had a situation where I've had too many too many shots and too many locations, but it's better to be in that situation because in the location where maybe it's like, right, this is a little bit too much, there still may be some great shots there that you can take 1 or 2 clips from, which is why I end up doing for another project for Broccoli. Then and only then, when you have got all the performance shots all cut up and nailed and they're gonna be where they're gonna be, then you add the B-roll. Now the B-roll is storytelling, the shots of them driving a Lamborghini, the whatever it is, a shooting star. That's where you add like the little sprinkles of B-roll across the video, and obviously you make it match to where it's meant to be in the song. Like if they're, let's go back to the Lamborghini example, saying at 1 minute 05, I'm in the Lamborghini, it would make sense to put the shot of them in the Lamborghini at 1 minute 05 rather than like 2 minutes where they're talking about a hippo jumping over the moon. I have no idea. That's not what I did for this music video, because this music video was very much storytelling, then performance, and then storytelling. Now I always make sure the artist gets a performance shot in, no matter what. Usually I've had past clients not even 1 performance shots, and I made them do it, and because I made them do it, the video worked out so much better and they were way more happier with it. And it adds, like, it's better to have extra shots even if you don't use them in the end, because if you don't have those shots and they're like, you know what, I wish we had those shots, you're kind of screwed. You can't do anything about it. For the first third of the song, well, first 30 seconds really, he's basically just enjoying his candy, ignorant bliss, eating his blue candy, and then the lady comes, poisons his wine, which was like fruit juice or something like that, puts a red pill in there, which is a red candy, which, by the way, these candies are just jelly beans. He falls to the floor, drops his red candy, and then boom. Oh, this shot was missing, but basically, I'll just play it here. Flash of red candy. So that would classify as B-roll. That is just to add, I shot that at home actually, like the following day after the shoot, because I put this all together and I was like, you know what, something's missing. So I added that as like a kind of a transition into the next shot, but also as a confirmation of what just happened, like, oh, it was the red candy. So then we come here, boom, he wakes up in this dark room, and this is where he just starts performing. And because like everything looks good and it's a performance shot, like it just kind of makes sense, like, oh, he's in this dark world, blah, blah, blah. Then, he continues performing, he gets stabbed, and then he dies and wakes up in this forest. This was fun because this was basically like some just other dimension, other land, other world, whatever. The color palette was completely different, which was great. And then, yeah, he chases her through the forest. You guys have seen this already. Okay, that's basically the 2 ways you can do it. You can have it very structured and very like storytelling, a little bit performance and then storytelling. And if it's all organized like that, got all the shots laid out, then the editing is the same. You just put the shots that are at the beginning of your storyboard at the beginning of your editing sequence, and then just, keep doing it that way. Of course, if you've got the B-roll, then you got to do the B-roll. Sorry. Of course, if you have the performance shots as like the main thing, and then you've got additional B-roll on top, it's a bit of a mixed bag and it's not completely storytelling. Then, you just do you do the performance shots first, and then you sprinkle the B-roll in and you mix and match until it all works out perfectly. Okay, so the color grading. The coloring for this video was super fun. The beginning was a very obvious reddish, pinkish, and blue color palette. And then we of course had my Godox VL150 as the key light, just to obviously light up his face to make it look natural. Let's talk about this shot. So let's just go to the coloring tab and I can break down essentially what I did. Okay, so I like to do all of my color correcting in the master tab. Now, admittedly, throughout this project in particular, I didn't actually stick to that. I did a bit of a mixture of like doing some color correction in the master, and then maybe in another clip I did it on just like the clip itself, not the master tab. The benefit, so with this master tab, I have these extra options because I shoot in Blackmagic RAW. If you're shooting on like a Sony A7 whatever, then you won't see this like raw option, but you can still click on the master tab to add effects to the master tabs section. and basically this will affect the entire source file. So if you have this clip sprinkled throughout the video, whatever you do on the master tab will reflect in every single clip that you've got sprinkled throughout the video. It saves you having to like basically do the same thing 10 times. It saves a lot of time. So here, did a bit of color correction as well as color grading, it seems. Yeah, right. Okay, so let's go over the color correction. So essentially what I did first was I added a basic S curve. Now what you'll need to do, I'm gonna reset this lumetri color for you guys so that we can go through it together. So this is a log file. Best dynamic range you can get out of the camera. Pocket 4K has very good dynamic range anyway. And here's, everything's just very, very flat. So starting from a log image, what we need to do is set our black and our white points. So the darkest part and the brightest part of our image. So having, you'll go into the coloring tab or add a lumetri color. I just use the tabs. I think it's way smarter and you can make your own. So what you'll do is you'll go into the curves tab. So like your lumetri will open like this, click on curves. We'll take the black point, which is the very bottom point of like this thing here, and I'll just drag it so that like basically you want to use your scopes as well as the source monitor, and just drag it to where it looks like the blacks are black. I think maybe there will do, and then do the same thing with the white point. Now you don't always need to follow the information on the lumetri scopes perfectly, because like if I had to get most of it up there, closer to the 100, but now on the image it looks a bit too bright for my liking. I'd kind of like to be a bit further back, or even leave it here. But then we're also going to just make a basic S curve as well. So we'll take the highlights and push them up a bit, take the shadows and push them down a bit to create a bit more contrast, because throughout this video we want a whole contrasty feel anyways. Then on top of that, I'll push the saturation a bit more. Now I usually do it within the range of 120 to 130, maybe even 140 or 150 is rare, but that's if like the shot just needs it or is very unsaturated. So I'm just gonna push it to 120. It just gives a bit more saturation. So this is basically the color correction done. We've turned what was not a good looking image, a flat image, into what looks more or less like real, well, to what looks like real life. This is what it looked like on the shoot. We don't see in log, we see in color. Now, if we go to our other lumetri color that's currently turned off and I turn it back on, I'll just go to the creative tab. We can see now the colors have changed quite a bit. It's quite a reddy orange and quite a subtle blue, I must say, but it's still there. And now boom, we've added a bit more purple. Now this is all done with the Tropic Color San Francisco LUT. So for my color grading, I like to use LUTs. Like LUTs get a lot of flack online. People are, oh, grade yourself, color grade yourself. It's so much better. You're not limited. If you know what you're doing, yeah, the look potentials are unlimited. For me, a lot of the looks I want for my videos have been made by other people, and they've made LUTs for those looks. So for me as an editor, it makes a lot more sense to just save the time and use a LUT. And also you can always, do some tweaking on those LUTs. You can even mix LUTs together if you set their intensity low enough. Like you can see here, the intensity is set to 15. If I just set this to 100, it's terrible. Like the look is terrible. But the beauty of having your LUTs in the creative tab over the basic correction tab, say this basic correction, if I just click that, I can't change the intensity. Set it back to none. San Francisco LUT, I can change the intensity. I can make it lower, I can make it higher. That looks kind of cool, I have to admit, even though it looks terrible. So I set it back to what it was, and now like it's a subtle difference, but it's a big difference as well, because the colors have changed a bit, the brightness has changed just a little bit, and the midtones now have a bit of purple in them, which is fantastic, because that's what we want. We want that mix of red and blue and purple, and it just looks exactly how I want it. So don't worry about using LUTs. If you want to use LUTs, use them. And furthermore, if you want to know where I got this LUT and basically almost all of my LUTs from, I get them from Tropic Color. I am an ambassador for them. If you guys want 20% off your order, there's a link in the description below. Enter MCKC20 at checkout in the affiliate code thingy-majiggy, and you guys will get 20% off your order, and I'll get a little bit kickback too. Help support me, help support the channel, keep it growing. And yeah, thank you so much to all the people who've been using it recently. Huge amount of people used it recently. I have to make another Tropic Color video to go over their newer stuff, but this is from their older LUTs and stuff. Yeah, I honestly, I think 90% of my projects, I use their LUTs just because there's such a huge range of different scenarios and different types of LUTs, like subtle LUTs, there's teal and orange LUTs, there's travel LUTs, there's grungy LUTs, and there's so many varieties. So this was one of their LUTs, San Francisco, and it had the look I wanted, so I went for it. And of course, with the creative tab, you can actually preview what the LUTs will look like. So I go through like Atlanta, and then there's Austin, Brooklyn, Chrome. A few of these are Tropic Colors, and a few of these aren't. But anyway, that was basically how the first section looked. So if we go to the middle bit, this performance part, yeah. Wanted to make a very contrasty look here, going through all the LUTs and stuff, and that's what I was saying. Right, so back to the coloring tab. I can't remember the last thing I said. Great. Basically for this shot, the idea was that I needed to make it so that it was like a black background and then all you could see was him. Now, due to like a lack of gear, to be honest, and I didn't have any material or like any flags, like control the spill of the light so that didn't go in the background. Bit of an issue on my part. That's, you know, a little bit of forced act. I'm like, I could have fixed that. No big deal, because what I did was I crushed the black so much that the background just kind of disappeared. And so your main focus is drawn to where there's light, and that was on broccoli. So let's go to, in my opinion, the coolest looking part of this whole video. And that's gonna be this forest scene. So here, basically, again, I did not adhere to my rule of organization, right? When it comes to coloring, guys, always be organized. When it comes to editing, it comes to life, guys, just be organized. For this section, I did use adjustment layers. They house the creative looks, the LUTs, as well as a little bit of curve adjustment as well. But those curve adjustments are for colors specifically, not for like contrast or whatever. I'm gonna turn those off. I'm gonna come to, right. So for the color correction of this clip, I did part of it in the clip itself, and then I did the other part of it in the master tab. So usually I would do the main color correction in just the master tab. I think for this particular clip, there was just a little bit of tweaking I needed to do, so I did it on the clip itself and not in the master tab, because then it would have affected another part of that clip that I think I didn't want to affect. I don't remember, this was about over 2 months ago now, but I think that's probably the reason why I did this. So if we go to the curves for the master first part of the color correction, you can see that I've just gone ahead and done a basic, you know, white and black point adjustment, a very slight S curve. However, I've also increased the saturation of red and decreased saturation of everything else to an extent. This was done because I knew the reason I had Kat wear a red dress for this section was because I wanted it to pop from the rest of what's in the shot. So having the red just pop out a bit more in terms of its saturation and then desaturating everything else, it just draws the viewer's eyes straight to Kat. It's like this big red target running across the screen. Like you're gonna notice it, you're gonna see it. So me boosting the saturation of that just kind of helped with that. And then when I go to the clips properties itself for coloring, turn it back on, again, it's just a little bit more contrast. And then for some reason, this is where I chose to add saturation. Again, I don't know what happened with my organization skills here. So now to the adjustment layers. Okay, these are a mixture of LUTs essentially. So we've got Tropic Colors Style 4 at 80% intensity. Now it says 80% here. Why am I pointing? You can't see where I'm pointing. It says 80% here, but not on the intensity slider. That's because for some of their LUTs, they actually like pre-made the intensity. So you have like style underscore 20, 40, 60, 80, and 100. So they just do it for you. It saves you a little bit of time, so you know that's appreciated. And I also, on top of that, boosted the saturation of the blues and pinks and a little bit of like leaning into the reds as well, just to kind of give a bit more of like that red and blue vibe. And then on top of that, another adjustment layer, and that adds the chrome LUT. That was like the main LUT used throughout most of the video. And this, as like the first LUT just makes the overall image darker and a bit like a tinge of blue in the shadows, ever so slightly. And just helps create more of like that contrasty feel that we're keeping throughout the whole video. And then adding the chrome LUT on top of that, again, it just kind of like, it desaturates things. It desaturates the greens, which is a key thing for this section. I really wanted to desaturate the greens and make it look not real. So color correcting, you make things go from looking not correct to looking correct and looking real. Color grading, you do whatever you want to an extent. And this is where like I pulled most of the saturation out. The skin tones are fine, and obviously I had already pre-pushed the red to be more saturated, so then you're just drawn to Cat as she runs across. This was the main color palette for the entire section, the entire last third of the video. And if we carry on, you see, you know, Cat running, and then he loses her. And this shot here, I love this shot. We have a Godox VL150 off to the right here, and then we've got natural light behind him and a little bit of red here on the neck. That's coming from an Astera tube, the one we have for the entire shoot. And you see it more as he turns around, which is kind of like, you know, the whole, oh, it's that red stuff again, and it's the red candy. And then we finish it there with the whole temptation thing. That's basically it, guys. You know, when you're planning out a video, you have to plan everything. So currently, at this point in time, I do most things by myself. You know, I plan it out, whether it be on my own or with the client. I will then, you know, I'll book everything. I will then direct it. Like when I say plan, that encompasses so much, by the way, but I think I'll make another whole video on like what it takes to plan a music video or just videos in general. But yeah, then you direct it and you shoot it, and then, you know, you put it all into the editor and chop it all up and color it, add effects and all of that. And there's a lot that goes into this. And so, you know, when it comes to the whole planning section, you got to plan out the color palette as well. And I knew when we were shooting here that this was the look I wanted to go for. Obviously the beginning part, I wanted to push the reds and the blues. And then for the last bit, I wanted it to look dreamy and almost not real. This isn't even the final version I'm showing you. Broccoli himself is also a video editor, and he asked if it'd be okay if he added a few effects that I personally don't own, like plugins and stuff that he does. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. It's nowhere. Like, it's his video at the end of the day, right? You want your client to be happy. You let them do what they want to do. And it turned out great. And yeah, that'll be out relatively soon. So that's it, guys, for this video. I hope it was informational and helpful to you guys. Yes, I use a lot of LUTs, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing, like I said before. If you guys do want to get a great discount on some really great and already well-priced LUTs, Tropic Color, link in the description below, MCKC20 at checkout for 20% off your order. 20, there you go. And that, you know, you get a cheaper order and I get a little bit kickback, which helps support the channel, and like, you know, you guys help support me with what I do, which I very much appreciate. Had a lot of like code uses recently, so thank you very much to everybody for that. That was like the amount of people who used it. Like when I saw the numbers, I was like, damn, that's a lot of people. It's not like hundreds of thousands, but it's a lot. It's still a lot of people, and I appreciate every single person who does. And again, thank you for the 1,000 subs. That's still like a crazy cool milestone to like get over 1,000 subs. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Any questions or anything I missed or anything you're unsure of with how I explained it, comment down below, anything at all, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching this, guys. See you in the next one. Peace.